Welcome to Andy and Ari On3, presented by BetMGM. Your instant reaction. Oh, and we got reactions to Miami's 27-24 win against Notre Dame. A massive, crazy clock management debacle with Mario Cristobal on the field, and it was not his fault. He was not the perpetrator this time.
Yeah, there's like 19 different angles here. This might be a full episode. What was that? That like little flick there?
That was a redshirt freshman, first year starter, getting sacked, trying to do something, trying to get rid of the ball, committing intentional grounding. There's a 10-second runoff. He then gets sacked again. Ruben Bain is busy posing, and it doesn't occur to CJ Carr that you have to snap the ball or the game ends.
Yeah, well, I mean, the truth is, if he would have just taken the sack, it probably would have been the same general thing.
They were going to lose at that point. I mean, Ruben Bain has decided he was not going to get blocked on that last drive, and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, I was actually convinced that we were going to have an actual Mario Cristobal debacle there at the end, because I hated the 3rd and 5 decision there to just willingly give the ball
to
back.
Set up the field goal to win the game. You hated that?
I hated it because you don't willingly give the other team the ball back in exchange for a timeout when you can run the clock down and kick the field goal with no time left. I guess, they ended up winning. It worked out, but they had plenty of time.
Well, they had to get the first down. Would you have rather them gone for it on 4th down instead of
they would have still been able to kick. I just don't think you willingly give them the ball back in exchange for their timeout. They might have still had to give them the ball back, but he made a decision to allow them to have the ball.
No, I mean, if they'd have run for more yards than they needed for a first down, then they wouldn't have.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I
think everybody's mad because he ran up the middle. But I don't know.
I think that like Notre Dame was anticipating that, and they stopped it because they were anticipating it. They wouldn't have been anticipating something creative, and they might have gotten a first down and won. That's not what's important.
Yeah,
we don't have to argue about that. Miami's back. Is this team better than last year's team? Am I allowed to ask that?
Oh my God, you are so reactionary.
I am.
You're such a prisoner of the moment. But this defense is certainly better.
That's what I'm saying.
There was one play, the pass to the tight end, because there was a giant coverage bust. That was the one play that reminded me of last year's Miami defense. Everything else was much, much better. Corey Heatherman, who they brought in from Minnesota, did a great job. They got a bunch of transfer guys. Xavier Lucas from Wisconsin was one of them. He had a great night. They looked like a completely different team on defense, and that's what you needed, because, look, Carson Beck had a great night. He was not Cam Ward. That offense was not what it was under Cam Ward, but it didn't need to be, because the defense was pretty awesome most of the night.
I know you hate me. Is this team better than last year's team? Andy, here's what I want to say.
Let's let them play some more games and we'll see, but it certainly has a chance to be.
Yeah, I mean, I'll take that defense and that offense. We do need to watch them play more games. It is an opener. We talked all weekend about not being overreactionary for week 1, and I'm not going to be that, but I do want to react to something.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody who listened to our show for the entire summer and beyond knows that I haven't been overly high on Carson Beck. And it sounds like to me that you don't think he played a sensational game. I don't know that he did. I thought he played a very good game.
It depends on who you're going to blame for them after they scored that first touchdown in the second half, just kind of shutting it down offensively.
Yeah.
And I don't know that you completely put that on Carson Beck, but he averaged 6.8 yards per attempt. That's not great.
Yeah.
But he looked poised, and the moment wasn't too big for him. And this is probably, is this going to be the best defense he plays? We'll see if Florida's defense is good, but I mean, this might be the best defense on Miami's regular season schedule.
It is pretty insane though, because like I don't think that we gave enough credence to the fact that Miami was in kind of a dumpster fire situation with its quarterback, and that Carson Beck just fell out of the sky. Like, I don't think that anybody is going to compare him or say that he's better than Cam Ward. I actually believe in my heart that Cam Ward's going to be one of the next great NFL quarterbacks, and I don't know why. I just have this gut feeling about him. Suffice it to say, there's no question that he was a highly productive college player and a person that brought Miami to the fringe of the college football playoff, as all of his teammates that were on his team last year get cut from NFL rosters right now. I think Carson Beck is probably the best case scenario that had happened for Miami, especially given the circumstance in which they got him and the timing of that. I thought he looked poised. I thought he looked in control. It looked like this was not his first game with them. Miami has a lot of really good offensive weapons. You don't have a Ryan Williams or Jeremiah Smith on your team, but you have a lot of different players. That freshman, Malachi
Tony. Oh, yeah.
Was open the entire game, sensational, fast. That catch, we already got the catch of the year.
CJ Daniels.
CJ Daniels. Yeah. I mean, everybody makes the comparison anytime somebody has a one-handed catch to Odell Beckham. The kid from Florida did it too.
Yeah, Vernell Brown the third.
Yeah, Vernell Brown the third. And I don't know if you saw that. I don't know if I sent it to you, but did you see his eyes when he caught that?
Oh, it was
like his
incredible.
Eyes were like, his head was like this, and his eyes were looking at the ball like backward. But I'm saying
the CJ Daniels catch even better because it was for a touchdown against Notre Dame and not against Long Island.
Yeah, and also, if he's not there to make that sensational play, that might have been like a hospital ball pick. When Carson Beck threw that, I was like, that's going to be a pick. And that's like such a drive killer, momentum killer, because it was right before the half. And then they go in and they own the middle eight the way that Notre Dame did to everybody last year. CJ Carr threw that touchdown pass where he scrambled backwards to the 30-yard line and somehow like wiggled out of it and found that touchdown. And the next time he took the ball, the next time he touched it after a touchdown pass, they were down 21-7. So like that, and the entire game flipped and he never played.
By the way, CJ Carr is going to be good. I realize he made a mistake there at the end, but he looked very poised down the stretch, especially considering the circumstances, especially considering the quality of the defensive lineman chasing him.
Yeah, with Miami, like I'm super excited. We can shift it a little bit over to Notre Dame before I ask you which team in Florida is the best. But I was
good thing they pretty much all play each other.
We were watching this, Andy. It felt like Notre Dame was in no man's land offensively for a large portion of that game.
Well,
and I don't know.
It felt like they forgot Jeremiah Love was on the team.
And 4 carries at halftime, and then the first possession in the second half, after Miami went like 8 minutes and took half the clock of the quarter out and scored a touchdown, they go 3 and out with 3 consecutive incomplete passes. And it's like you have, what do we talk about all summer? You have the best offensive line in the country, and you have the best potential running back, him or Nick Singleton or somebody else, but he's certainly one of the 3 best.
Speaking of that, I'm the one who said they're the best offensive line in the country all offseason about Notre Dame.
Miami might have the best one.
Yeah, they might not have been the best offensive line on the field tonight. Miami's might have been. Yeah, they were fantastic.
Which brings us back to like
Francisco Mauigoa.
Mario Cristobal program building theory. He's always been lines first. That's been his deal. And I don't know. We're going to find out as we see more games this year what Miami's skill does from a consistency standpoint. Right now, I'm pretty sure I would probably still take last year's skill because they had Jacoby George and Xavier Restrepo and Damian Martinez and guys.
And Cam Ward. Cam Ward makes all the difference.
But like if you're going to be able to push Notre Dame around on an 8-minute drive right out of the locker room up 7 and then punch it in right out of the gate to flip the game over, they did to Notre Dame what Notre Dame is supposed to and has done to their opponents. Yeah. So like I thought that was highly impressive. And the thing about college football from a narrative standpoint is that like the SEC and the Big Ten play the most physical brands of football, but holy shit, Andy, this ACC kicking the crap out of tough teams on TV 2 days in a row between them and Florida State. I mean, like is Florida back? Like
as a state,
you live there. Like is Florida back? I don't know.
I would love it because that like when I was in high school, the Canes, the Seminoles, and the Gators were all awesome, and it was so much fun. The trash talk was fun. And I didn't grow up as a fan of any of those teams. I was a kid from another state who moved to Florida, who had a team, that he came with. But watching those teams and watching all the fans interact, it was unbelievable. And the level of trash talk going on right now, the discourse on Gators Twitter and Canes Twitter and Knowles Twitter is spectacular.
It feels normal.
It feels so good.
It's nostalgic.
And they all play each other because you've got Miami, Florida coming up in week 4. You've got Florida State, Miami coming up shortly after that. I believe week 5 or week 6. Then you have Florida State will play Clemson. You're gonna have Florida and Florida State at the end of the year. Like this is going to be a lot of fun in the state of Florida.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm a Gators fan right now, my schedule just got a little harder, and I'm not here for that.
Oh, but, I think they realized it was hard anyway. I mean, Miami kicked the crap out of them last year. I don't think they've forgotten that.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know if you're a culprit here. I feel like I am. I underrated Miami all offseason. Like they were much better tonight, and again, one game, not over, but like they looked more functional and much better than I thought they would tonight. So. take that for what it's worth.
This was a good defense. There's one major bust. Everything else, they were solid. They were a terrible defense last year. So
and that's kind of part of the reason.
That's a huge difference.
You know, and I know that like I am reactionary and I need to go see a therapist over it. But like Miami's defense was so bad last year that like I almost feel comfortable blindly taking whatever we just watched on TV. Because you know for a fact that they couldn't stop anybody last year. And it's like
I know
it's just like
this game would have ended completely differently had that been last year's Miami defense. First of all,
it wouldn't have started.
Miami wouldn't have been leading the way it was in the third quarter because Notre Dame would have been scoring much more easily. This was an excellent. I mean, you think about making a good hire, fixing the personnel. It's sort of they did it in one offseason what LSU has needed 2 off seasons to do. We talked about this last night when we were at LSU Clemson. You know, Blake Baker came in and schematically fixed things, but they didn't have quite the personnel they needed defensively last year, and they do now. And you saw that come to fruition against Clemson. And I think they did it all in one offseason in Miami.
You know, I was actually kind of confused a little bit because, you know, USC's defense 2 years ago was awful. And it took a marginal step forward. It was marginally better, but wasn't great. LSU's defense 2 years ago was awful, and they took a marginal step forward. And like I think I convinced myself this offseason that you could be a marginal from terrible to really good or proficient or average or above average in one offseason. So, you know, again, I think that if you have defensive linemen that can control the line of scrimmage, that does a lot of work for you. And Miami clearly possesses that. Ruben Bain was injured a lot of last year, and he played a vintage Ruben Bain game where
Ruben Bain and Akeem Messidor, they were dominant. Dudes. Bain was incredible at the end of the game. Just incredible. And remember, he also had an interception earlier in the half.
That was right before that, I posted online that I thought that this was going to be Jeremiah's Love's drive, and then 2 plays later, Ruben Bain picked it. I was like, sorry guys, got the wrong number 4. But you know, I think I like the elements of what I saw. Now I'm not going to go say that they're the favorite to win the ACC. I still think that Clemson, even though they lost on Saturday, would be my pick right now.
No Knowles?
If I had to make a blind pick right now on a Sunday night after week 1 of who I think is going to win the ACC, I would believe I would probably still go Clemson. I don't know if you disagree or agree. I don't know that I have a pretty firm foundation to stand on in that opinion, other than just preconceived notion and what we saw in Death Valley on Saturday night.
Listen, I think Cade Klubnik's getting chased by Miami the same way he's getting chased by LSU.
And it's possible that they might have a hard time scoring against Miami too. But I mean, tough physical football. Like Miami was arriving at the ball.
They looked like the 2 teams we saw last night in Death Valley, but both these teams did. Notre Dame did too, and Notre Dame, of course, made the national title game last year and brought back an awful lot. So,
you know, here's the other side of the conversation because we can't get there. Well, you have Clemson's page up. Why don't you finish that thought?
Well, I was just looking at Clemson's regular season schedule. I wanted to point out that Clemson and Miami do not play in the regular season. So there's a conceivable finish, and I realize I'm getting way ahead of myself here, but there's a conceivable situation where you could have a 3-way tie at 7-1 in ACC play with Clemson, Miami, and Florida State, depending on how things shake out. If Miami beats Florida State beats Clemson. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Florida State beats Miami, Clemson beats Florida State, and then somebody takes another loss.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You are getting a little, you know, I'm not the one getting ahead of myself here. You just put a 3-way tie of 7-1 at the end of these. You know, I think it's possible. Honestly, I think Duke's going to be good. Duke has a huge game against Illinois that we're going to pick.
Louisville's going to be good.
You know, the ACC, I'll say, you know, I'm not going to crown them as a equal to the Big Ten or the SEC after week 1 by any stretch of the imagination. But, you know, Clemson was physical. Florida State was very physical. Did you see that block that has been going viral today? I missed it while watching the game. That one where, you know, Alabama's defender, I don't even know who, I got to go back and figure out who it was, went flying. I mean, Miami, like that's what Notre Dame's calling card is. Who was more physical tonight? You know, and
Miami was more physical. Miami, and all you need to do is look at the last 2 plays of the game.
Yeah,
I mean that's the difference between Miami this year and Miami last year. And
yeah, they definitely would have given up a touchdown at the end last year.
Yes,
yeah, without question.
So I'm excited to see the way this shakes out the rest of the year because I mean, look, Florida goes to Miami in week 4. That's going to be a fantastic game.
And the one thing I want to say also, there are a lot of Miami thoughts, but Miami made a slam dunk splash hire of their own during the same cycle that Lincoln Riley went to USC and Brian Kelly went to LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that those two,
and Dan Lanning went to Oregon, and Marcus Freeman got hired at Notre Dame.
But I think that the two that I started with got the most attention because it was people who were at destination jobs who left voluntarily for another job. And I think Mario Cristobal, to a certain extent, I mean, not a certain extent, is in that same category. In Miami, it kind of felt like if he couldn't do it, nobody could, because he is the epitome of recruiting and has a background of coaching at Alabama and is from Miami. It's the perfect, and it feels like it's starting to come together. And you played offensive line. You have he has a center's group chat on his phone. Like, how many years does it take for you to finally get the foundation on the lines on both sides to be where you want it to be? And my guess would be 3 to 4.
Yeah, I think he's got it now.
If he has it now, like that's.
And these are guys, for the most part, that they've signed out of high school, or like Messidor came as a transfer, but a long time ago. He's been at Miami a long time. Brockermeyer, their center, is really the only new guy.
Yeah,
and they've really done a good job developing those guys on the line of scrimmage, and that's what you expect from Mario Cristobal teams. You saw it when he was at Oregon too. Mm-hmm. I mean, hell, you saw it when he was at FIU years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
So I'm so excited for what this can be. And now let's talk Notre Dame, because you were the one after they lost to Northern Illinois last year who said, hey, don't worry, they're going to run the table. I don't feel like I can say, don't worry, they're going to run the table. But if they can bounce back, beat Texas A&M in week 3, I think they could be 11-1.
Oh, yeah. Like, there's no question that Notre Dame isn't buried here. Not playing in a conference and having the automatic bid, for all you people who they need to join a conference like that, could hurt them. If they finish 11-1, they'll probably get in.
My bold prediction that they're going to be a top 4 seed, probably not coming true.
But. Well, if they finish 11-1, that could still come true.
Maybe, yeah, depending,
because 11-1 is,
and especially if Miami is even higher.
But I also feel like starting that year in that hole, and they're going to A&M, aren't they?
No, A&M's coming to them.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they beat them at A&M.
So they have a chance to go 1-1. A&M, I think, struggled at times with UTSA. We'll see what they are. A&M's always a mystery. But I thought that if I'm a Notre Dame fan, I'm frustrated as hell right now, because you feel like they left some points on the table and some offense.
Well, I just want to know from Mike Denbrock why Jeremiah Love was basically ignored in the first half. That doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah.
You have the best back in the country. You have one of the best lines in the country. Just give him the ball and let him cook, especially because you have a first-time starting quarterback in a hostile environment. That should help him settle down.
I feel like that you're right, and I there's definitely questions to be answered, but I'm totally with you in that CJ Carr looks the part to me.
Yeah,
and I do feel like if they are somehow able to beat A&M, they will be fine.
And he made the one goofy play at the end. Which is
I don't
something
even blame him. I don't even blame him.
No, older quarterbacks make the same mistake, but he looked like he was fine in the moment. It didn't look too big for him. And I also think now that he's made that mistake, he's probably never going to make that again.
And honestly, Andy, it was a mistake, but he had 2 options, that or get sacked. Either way, he had no time to process anything on those last 2 plays. So, I think that Notre Dame is a team that is tough. And the one thing that I think we have to give them credit for is the same trait that last year's team had, which is when it seemed like they were cooked, they tied the game.
Yep.
Like, that team fights.
Yeah, they were down 21-7. It felt over.
Yeah.
When Miami took the first half of the third quarter to score that touchdown and go up 21-7, I thought, oh, man, if Notre Dame goes 3 and out here, this game is over. But Notre Dame fought all the way back, tied the game.
Yeah. But even when it was 24-14 late, I think it was 24-14 with like 7 minutes left, and they got the ball back. They tied the game. They didn't just get the ball back. They tied the game. And they didn't get that big defensive stop. You would think they would have, considering their reputation. But, it wasn't I think it's a dumpster fire game would have been CJ Carr looks overmatched. They lose 28-10. They can't move the football. I don't think that's.
I think the future's bright with CJ Carr. Like I'm very encouraged by what I saw tonight and think if you can do that in your first start in that environment, what happens after you got some home games under your belt, after you played some teams that are fairly easy for you guys?
He gets credit for tying it back at 24 to 24. Like, that's not easy, especially on the road. It looked like,
and remember,
every single Miami legend who ever lived was in the building that
we,
night.
we were like,
humid.
And remember during the quarterback competition, we were like, oh, Kenny Minchie's the guy who can run. CJ Carr looked great.
Yeah,
that quarterback draw for the touchdown was awesome.
I saw some people mentioning when's Minchie coming into the second quarter. I was like, guys, you don't like his leash isn't that short, and certainly I don't think it's that short at all now. So,
and I'm also talking quarterbacks. I'm excited about what Carson Beck can do because again, this may be the best defense he faces all regular season.
I do kind of feel good for Carson Beck because this is probably a topic for the show sometime this week, Andy. But I was kind of amused by how many Georgia fans were in my mentions tonight,
complaining about Mike
Bobo.
I just think they like to complain about Mike Bobo.
But the one thing that you have to isolate here as fact is that Carson Beck didn't have the best year last year. A lot of drops. And he got bailed out in a big way one time tonight. But I think that, this notion of he was not welcome back, and they had a Carson Beck problem last year. I didn't watch that game thinking that Georgia had a Carson Beck problem.
No. And so, the other part you need to remember about Carson Beck is this is his first game since major elbow surgery.
Right.
The last time we saw him play was in the SEC championship game where his arm got ripped the wrong way. And that was a major operation. So I thought it was pretty impressive. I think he can get better
than I thought he was.
Yeah, and I think he can get better as the season goes on because again, he's not going to be playing that defense every game. So a lot to look forward to for both of these teams. I don't think anything's over for Notre Dame yet. I still think they can make the playoff. Miami, you revise because your question was, what is the defense going to look like? How different will it be? It is vastly different. So you revise your expectations now. If you thought, okay, maybe they might be as good as they were last year, that'd be great. No. Revise your expectations and say they should win the ACC and they should go to the playoff. That's how you should feel right now.
Yeah. Wow. Sunshine State is back, baby.
That's right. Yeah, I'll be back there tomorrow. I'm driving home tomorrow. So when I cross the state line, see if footballs just start flying over the car. I'm very, very excited to see the big three. They're back. USF looked great, by the way.
USF is electric.
They've got to play Florida and Miami in consecutive weeks, so the challenge gets a little tougher.
Yeah, your little scenario of them going to the playoff because they
would need to go 1-1 these next 2 weeks.
Well, also we don't know what Florida is yet. We haven't.
We have
Florida
no
play.
idea. They played Long Island. That doesn't count.
DJ Lagway had efficient stats, and he's got off to a slow start, but then got riding. We don't know that, but we are going to talk about freaks this week.
We are.
Talk about.
We saw
Florida
Dylan
teams.
Stewart in person today. Holy crap!
I can't even tell which one's a bigger freak, Nick Harbor or Dylan Stewart.
Dylan Stewart is the bigger freak.
He is.
Yes, he's the better football player. Dylan.
No, I just mean physical specimen.
Nick Harbor probably because he's so big and fast. But we'll talk about that this week.
Yeah.
Obviously we were at South Carolina, Virginia Tech, and seeing a couple aliens was very intriguing and enlightening. So we're going to talk about that and just kind of who are the aliens around the country, which teams have the most aliens. Sounds like a good column for you too.
Yeah, well, I'm going to wait till you do all the work, and then I'm going to take what you say on the podcast.
I love our dynamic. It's so good.
And a little bit of a special news for the people in the show is that because I have a flight early in the morning, we won't have time to pre-record, so I think we'll be live tomorrow.
Yes, live pick show 3 p.m. Eastern time Monday. So live pick show. And then, of course, we're coming back after Bill Belichick coaches his first college game tomorrow night.
Yeah.
Whew. Best
was a great weekend.
Sport in the universe. College football always delivers. And we will talk to you tomorrow.